Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Before I start this video, I just want to say that all of these things I'm gonna talk about today, hopefully I can give you a good answer. But see, myself, I'm just a young learner, and I try to just understand the religion to the best of my capabilities, right? And I like to just dissect a little bit more deeper than the average person and just not go and follow blindly some other person, rather just go and really take the whole context and the meaning behind our religion and then make a decision. So today, what I just wanted to make a very quick video on was the very debated verse from Qur'an, Surah An-Nisa, verse number 34, which a lot of people come and claim. And recently I had someone asking that, hey, your religion says that, hey, you should beat women or strike them or whatever. And a lot of people translate it like that, and just surprises me that a lot of scholars just were like, okay, it's fine, we can just put out this translation, strike them, and then some of them say like, okay, with a stick, with a miswak, you can like lightly tap them. To me, it doesn't make sense. Anyone can pull out their small stick or whatever and be like, okay, you know, like I've seen Harry Potter stick. Like, dude, like if I'm gonna beat with that stick, it just looks painful. Like, and at the end of the day, it's like a woman, bro. Like, okay, do you get me? So it doesn't make sense. So I was like, I don't want to be left, mm, with no answer and just say like, oh, I'll just reference you to some scholar, because a lot of scholars apparently were fine leaving the meaning of like strike them in the verse. Like, yeah, let's just publish this, knowing that there's so many crazy people out there. There's like people with anger issues, people with bad childhood, and all that stuff. And me, firsthand, I've also witnessed domestic violence a lot of times throughout my life, and I can say that it is not good to say in a translation. I don't think it's good. I really don't like that it's been accepted. And no one really goes and like kind of like, spreads the thing that this is not the truth. In my opinion, what I think is the real meaning is by considering the grammar in the verse as well, and then just making a very common decision out of that. When you're gonna see this, you're gonna be like, okay, this makes sense. But basically, the verse says something like, "As for those wives, basically, for those from whom you fear disobedience, admonish them, then leave them in bed, in their beds, like separate them from their beds, then strike them," um, which is like the most common translation. But if they obey you, seek no means against them. Indeed, Allah is most high and most great. Right? So this is like the most obvious translation, and the main key part is then strike them. And the word used in the Quran for this, let's just see, is wadribuhunna. Okay, or wadribuhun, uh, if you're reading it from there. And that word, so I was like, let's just go deeper into this word. So in Arabic, or if you generally have been seeking knowledge about Islam, the wisdom of the letters is very important. So there's like so many meanings behind Arabic words as well, and different roots and all that stuff. Very fascinating language. Let me just dissect that. The root uh, letters are dal, sorry, da, ra, and ba. In Arabic, these combinations can have like 10 meanings in the Quran, depending on the context. And some of them, which I'm going to list as number one, is like we're going to look into four. So, first is to strike physically. That's the most like literal one. To travel, as in strike the earth. To separate is the third, and the third is to coin or set forth. Okay, now if you look into the context, the whole verse, so it says, if you fear disobedience, you admonish them, and then leave them in their beds, like you separate them from the beds, and then strike them. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Okay, you're like being nice, and be like, okay, let me just separate my bed. I'm just gonna like go to the other room, and now you suddenly start beating. It just doesn't make sense, man. In my opinion, the continuity and from the meanings that I've told you, to travel to separate makes more sense. It's continuity of it makes sense linguistically as well. It's linguistically valid. And from evidence from the Prophet ﷺ, directly, you can see that Prophet never struck his wife. He even said, the best of you are those who never hit their wives. Like, it's kind of like is the end of the decision, I think, in my opinion, there. And then he also says, do not hit the female servants of Allah. Okay, kind of makes sense. Why would you hit their wife then if you're not hitting random females out there? So, that word used in this context, in my opinion, is to separate even further. And if you look into our lives in the real life application, doesn't separation work much better? If something is going on in your house, you just separate. Even I know from my family, separation worked at some point between my parents, and yeah, it is like the best thing you can do rather than to like beat each other or one person like beating and having the worst impression on like your kid and everything like that. You just separate, you go to another city, you live with your parents or wherever, you go live with your family for some time, and then you come back with a cool mind without any angriness or emotion, and then you make a decision. Just kind of makes sense, you know? So, and the religion is called Islam, is about peace. So if it's about peace, why would you hit your wife? Okay. So the words just lays out a progressive escalating pattern. And it just, like, the people, I feel like they just took it too extreme. Like the pattern is like not patterning. It's just going to like beating them. And then they come up with like the, hey, you can beat it with a light stick. This still didn't make sense to me. Like, still didn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to any person coming out there and asking me like, your religion says not to beat. Like, imagine someone on the street is coming out to you and be like, hey, your religion like says to beat women, and then you just say, oh no, the context is actually that you just take a light stick, and bro, it's just right there. If I was like a non-Muslim listening, what light stick? Oh, bro, I'm done. Like, dude, stick? I thought it was just hands, but like stick? Hear the word, they're gonna just disappear. So that's my opinion again. So you can see, like, I don't look like any mufti. I'm not like that. I'm just like a learner. I just like to, it's like 3:53 a.m. and I just like to go in the Quran and sometimes just open a random verse, or just from my experience with what people have been asking me, just go a little bit deeper and try to find out meanings about these things. And this is my opinion. Hopefully, it just gives you a better idea, and hopefully, it it's good for some people who thought that it was the other way, and you didn't take it literally and you were kind of confused, and that kind of makes sense. And I wish you the best, and I hope Allah gives us the sababan to unveil more of these meanings which are a little bit confusing in our lives, and help us truly. I mean, Assalamu alaikum.